So my name is Nelson William Gamazo Sanchez, and I'm going to present Operation Poison News, something that we discovered at the beginning of this year. And first of all, I would like to thank to Virus Quality for giving us the opportunity to be presenting the first fully online event ever done in the history of Virus Quality. So thank you very much. And we are covering this agenda. So basically what we are going to cover is two spyware, one in designed for iOS and one designed for Android. And the iOS version is more complex and has more functionality and more parts. And the Android version, but both the Android version is simpler, but have the same relation to this campaign. So they are both in the same campaign. So we are covering both of them, but in more detail the iOS version. And something that we like to do is a little comment about this work, because there was a collaboration across 5 different teams. We have the APT team, the mobile team, the script analyzing team, the advanced research team, zero-day initiative team, CDI team, which I am a member of. So at CDI, we have a couple of home team systems that are scanning sources, like a URL from URLs, scanning samples as well. And one of the triggers in this system was the one that started this research at the beginning of this of the year. I would like to do a special thank you to Joseph C. Chen, which is a non-researcher internationally and Intermicro, and he's not in the output list, but he did a good contribution to this work. Something that we are not going to cover is attribution. So we decided not to cover attribution. We decided not to mention anything about attribution, even when we know from the beginning that there was a very well-organized operation. We are not talking who is behind it. So instead, we are covering details about the operation. Even we are going to give some hints about who is behind him. It's up to you to have to write to the final conclusion. We are not going to mention who is possibly behind it. And we would like to do some highlights on this campaign before entering the details. So one of the things is the main objective of the campaign is to spy and establish full control of the iOS Android devices. As I said before, the iOS is more complex than the Android device, but both have the same objective. So even when they were using the last exploitation technique in the case of the iOS, but the complexity of the iOS spyware, we know that this developer were working, or the team behind it was working much before that the time that we are going to put in this presentation. And this was a very planned attack ahead of time. So we found 2 malicious spyware. One is LiSpy for iOS, and one is DMS Spy. We named it that, we created that name for them. And we are going to show why we created that name before during the presentation. Also, we found that Hong Kong users were targeted specifically by this campaign. The iOS spyware is designed to monitor certain applications, but the monitoring of certain applications is for extracting sensitive information. So from Safari, from Chrome, from WeChat, they extract all the possible artifacts relating to the user behavior when the user are playing or using this application. And we are going to show that in the presentation as well. This picture shows the full attack chain of the iOS device. This is specific already. So from here, we are going to discuss the iOS device spyware. And this is the full attack chain. So everything started with malicious websites. The malicious website related to a landing page. The landing page is exploiting a silently patched Safari vulnerability. At the time, they don't have a CV associated with that. As well, it was very easy correlate with bug was exploiting. We are going to show why. And once they get exploitation done, they execute the payload. The payload also tried to do jailbreak, but tried to jailbreak the maximum number of version, they support the maximum number of iOS version that they could do at the time. And we are going to show why that happened as well. And after that, they launch a couple of processes, and they end up in the light module, which is the main module, which is communicating with the CNC server, and doing the managing of different modules. So through the light module, the attacker can control all the other modules, can update module, can send command to the module. So from here, we are going to discuss the different stages. So now we are going to discuss the tactics of the malicious website, how they created the malicious website, and what were they doing, how they were working that period of time to get this campaign working on. And one of the tactics that we found was that the domain that we're using were mimicking high-profile events. Here was one example of a HK revolution. So the HK revolution domain was mimicking the a Twitter account, which is HK revolution, and that account joined to Twitter in November, and specifically the first tweet was in November 17, 2019. What they did in this case was create a page, and they put the page in the control domain. And the page had 3 frames. And the last frame just related you to the Chinese Canadian newspaper. And that is the only thing that you can see if you visit this website. And the first link is the landing page, and the landing page will compromise the device if you have another one. The second link is for a statistic about who using this, who were accessing this page. And they leak some information here. I'll show at the end what information they leak in this in the second link. And another domain that we found interesting was Poor God Day. The Poor God Day is another event that have certain coverage in Hong Kong. And have a fine coincidence, they started the same November 17th, the last year in 2019, the same day that was the first Twitter account tweets of the account that I showed before. And the tactics or the techniques that they were using here was just mirroring a page from a known news site, which is hkairportdaily.com. And they mirrored the page and they inserted the one iframe there to attack the user. And both URL were posted in Hong Kong forums and the public Hong Kong forums. And from here, so I would like to discuss the bug by itself. So we have the tactic that we're using for luring the user to visit the website, and that have a landing page, and the landing page has exploitation for this specific bug. So everything started with the known researcher. When the known researcher looked at Todesco posted and they that he found one and they in JavaScript core. He posted the POC. But when you analyze the timeline of that POC, you will find out that the bug was already fixed in June 19. And at the time that he posted, of course, it was end day because the bug were already fixed. But if you track the versions, if you go to this information is completely public, you can track by yourself. If you track the version, which is affected by this bug, you will see that this bug is not fixed until the release of July 22nd. So on July 22nd, Apple released the actual official updates for the final user, which is fix this bug. So at the end of the day, that means that the bug was known for was a known bug for Apple developers, but was a 0-day from the point of view of final customer, and was a 0-day for 17 days. So the question is this time window being used by the attackers or not? That is the interesting question here. And something to be noticed if you are a company, software company that have a public tracking system, you have to be careful what the bug that they fix there, because attackers are looking at the bugs actually and taking to use that small window. In this case, maybe not the case, but that is entirely possible. I think we had presentations at some events before that show up how the attacker use the time window looking for open source code which fix some information, but actually the final product doesn't have to date yet. And that window is very critical for compromising users. And if you see, this is one section from the exploit by itself, in the wild exploit. And they support the version 12.2. And that is why they actually were not using the time window of the 0 day. Because even when the 12.3 version was vulnerable, right? And they also only cover 12.2. That means that they were attacking the unpatched devices at the final customer, and not utilizing the 17-day 0 day win, which will be, from my point of view, researcher would be great, but it was not the case. And the bug by itself is just entire type confusion. And we are not going to enter in the detail how they exploit the bug, what are the behavior of the bug, what are the bug by itself. We put a slide here just for the comments. We don't have time to cover the detail here. We post in the blog that we publish in Tremacro, in the white paper, in the paper for wide holiday. We post we put reference there where you can go and visit and read more about this bug. And once you get the exploitation of the bug, you get another interesting part of the attack, which is the payload execution. So the payload execution, which is named payload in the exploit by itself, it tried to cover the maximum possible versions at the time, with the pool information is the conclusion we have. So they include in that payload the uncover jailbreak tool, and the uncover jailbreak tool includes all these CVE. But if you see, it's covering only 12.12 version. It's not going to the 12.2. That's why they need something else to get that version. And another interesting thing that I found in this payload is that the payload is signed with the developer certificates from Apple services in November 29 of 2019. So this is the day range that we are moving around in this presentation. This is the correlation between cover and the payload decompiled. So it supports to the version 12.1. So if you go to the payload and decompile that, you will see the full uncover source code embedded in the payload. So everything is based on that. But like I said before, it's not covered in 12.2. To cover 12.2, they include this another exploit, which is support using this CVE. And at the time they were working in this project, that was completely public, so it was very easy for them to incorporate and elevate a little bit more the number of regions supported by the attack. And this exploit also have a very nice history with the bug was fixed in 12.3, but also was broken and was exploitable again in 12.4. So the thing is, because the 12.3 passed this bug, they don't have other option to fall back to 12.2. And that was the only option that they have. So they fall back to 12.2 because they don't have any fully available jailbreak vulnerability to use at the time. So they were short of resources to go for the 17-day, 0-day window. That is our conclusion of this analysis. So they fall back to 12.2. That is the maximum version that they support at the time. And so this is how they introduce the support in the code. So they introduce the entry point of the support exploit at the beginning of the jailbreak or main function of the uncover. So this is like seems like a last time or later time addition to the exploit to cover more devices. This is the feeling that I have for this way that they combine both exploits. Once the exploit is working, the spyware start downloading a bunch of modules, and then they launch another process. We have a configuration. They then launch another one which contains the configuration for the CNC. And with the configuration from the CNC, they start another module, which is the main module, which communicates with the CNC server. And that is, this module is named Light. That's why we name Light Spy. And we found that this configuration file has an Android DMM inside. So we said, okay, so this maybe is Android version of this. So that is why we involve all the research team in Microsoft to work in parallel, because we're working against time. So this is a timing thing, because everything can shoot down. In fact, some of the Android indicator that we found was already deleted from public source, from forums, or was already deleted. So that was fighting against time for catching all the information on this campaign. And the live module basically is responsible for connecting back to the CNC server and doing the module management. Have a very good architecture, and they communicate using WebSocket. And the format of the data is embedded in JSON format. And with that, this main model is capable of update plugins, like command to specific plugins, and is very well designed from the point of view of architecture, and very flexible, you can say. And from here, we are going to touch some of the models that we think that are interesting with this presentation. So first of all, we are going to show the shell command module, which allow the attacker to do real time full control of the devices. So this module, the only thing that it's doing is just executing command. So it receives a couple of parameters like a command, a working directory. The first thing that he did is cd to the working directory and executing a command. And it sends a response back to the API shell result endpoint in the API of the CNC server. And this is the way that it's worked. The shell will give you full control anytime you can execute any command. Even you can execute. So there is we are going to describe other modules that allow you to upload files. So you can upload file and then execute through here. And you have the full chain control of what you can do with the device. And all over the place, in all the modules, you can see Chinese strings everywhere, even for logging errors, for tracking the execution of the modules by itself. And another module is a screen module. So the screen module is a funny module, because we found that the module name is not matching with the functionality of the module. So this is a screen name, but the functionality of the module is just network scan. So they combine a couple of open source tools like Lilang scan, and with that functionality, they intend to map or to find all the IP in your network. So they go the IP, the mask, and they combine both, and they find all the network, all the IP that they want to scan, and they scan all the available IP to get information about that. They return the response back to API LAN devices. And this module have some interesting thing, which is the one who is leaking the most long, so the longest project structure. So you see in the last image at the bottom. So the whole project structure that were in the developer machine is that of the developer of this spyware, and they got F warehouse there that we don't know what is the F warehouse there, but there is you can get a sense of what is the structure of the project. So there is another module which is file manage. The file manager can load, copy, move, delete, and other operations on files, and have some very targeted operations or very targeted commands for specific application, for this specific application. And they send everything to the API form file endpoint in the CNC center, in the CNC control server. And the objective of this specific application in this case, for the specific application in this case, is just get the file list. In this case, so they have other modules specific for each application, but this one includes functionality to get the file list from those applications. So other modules have the soft info. So the soft info is get the entire applications, you get the list of running processes. And there is another module that is a Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi module is interesting because I try to get all the Wi-Fi which are connected to you, all the Wi-Fi names that are surrounded to you. Even if you have the Wi-Fi disabled, the module will enable the Wi-Fi and start scanning for trying to get the Wi-Fi near to you. This is a very good information. We give you a lot of detail about where you're moving on, what are close to you, locations. By the name of the Wi-Fi, you can find many interesting stuff. And there is another module, which is the browser module. So the browser module is covering Safari and Chrome, and what it's doing is getting the history. They don't feedback the whole file, but they query the file. They parse the file, which is normally a SQL Lite database. They parse the file, they extract the field they are interested on, and they feedback that to the API browser history. And we have the location module, which is trying to get all the post information about the location of the device that provide the API of the device. And this is the telemetry that they send back. And they have a special condition for the location if you are in China. So they have special calculation there for the location. So we are not going to talk about why they these specific conditions there, but there is a very clear function there for if you are in China, they do a specific condition. If you are not, they do another calculation. And these spyware also have targeted for specific capabilities. So we don't have time to cover all the module here and all the details. So what we are going to say here is the spyware, the iOS spyware, have a specific module for WeChat, for QQ, and for Telegram, and they all work like quite similar. They locate the sensitive file of this application, they parse the file according to the format and extract the field, and they send information back to the CNC. Some of the information that is extracted from this file is the chat messages, the chat contacts, the chat head contact image, which is very nice information. You can have a more picture of people that is talking to you, and the personal log information onto those applications, whatever is possible. So these are modules that are designed specifically for this application. You didn't find any other one, and for any other application. So we have Chrome, Safari, WeChat, QQ, and Telegram that were the one targeted in these cases. So if you remember from the last configuration on the main module, we have one Android there, and one Android word there, and that triggers second research, looking for more aspect of this campaign, more you can say indicator of the campaign. And we actually found Android application, which is disguised as a calendar, and the calendar for Hong Kong Democratic Freedom Activity. And supposedly the calendar is going to have all the dates that activity is going to take place. But if we dig deeper in this Android spyware, and we found correlation in the domains and the infrastructure that we're using with the iOS spyware as well. And we think that these two are correlated. So the complexity of this DMS Android is not like that. It's not like iOS. iOS is much better from the point of view of architecture. But this one is, you can think is part of the campaign. We think it's part of the campaign. And also we think it started before. So the link was posted in 5th November, and we found the APK was, the Android application was signed from July 11. So we think this campaign started much before, and then they got the POC from the iOS. They said, let's go, and they attacked the iOS as well at this point. at the point that we're working on. So we managed to get the, so the Android was version was obfuscated, was packed with very non-packed, so we unpacked it and we executed it. The application we got, we'll be able to get all the CNC API endpoints names from there. This is something that, this is some of the information that the device collect, that this spy collect in the device, spyware, and device ID, brand, model, iOS version, physical location, and SMS information stored the device as well. And we found another interesting functionality, which is it register to receive in real time. There's an SMS message from the device in real time. It's feedback to the CNC server. So that is another functionality of the Android version as well. So as a conclusion, we present an indicator here that the campaign, so based on the information that we have, the campaign starts 5th November. And for us, it's clear that the attack was starting for a while already. So it was planned ahead and it was designed ahead of time and was very well planned and very well organized, is our opinion. So we didn't find any actual 0 day in this attack, but we think that our opinion, they don't have access to 0 day. They will try to cover, the maximum possible version in the iOS case that was possible at the time with the non-public stuff that you can find. And the attack at the end of the day was targeting unpatched device, and that was the way that they operated. So the spyware has a modular design and was very well organized. By the leak project structure, we think that multiple developers were working on that. I can show one slide after this, which shows some cases of the project structure. We think that the multiple developers were working on, but we didn't find any information of this campaign that was having financial interest. So you can draw your own conclusion for that. As a final bonus slide, we posted here in the light deck that some interesting path that you can find that they leak in the code, and bunch of API as well. So we have 2 bonus slides that you can look at that, because we don't have more time for explaining it. Thank you very much.